And the light of the moon shall become like the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall become sevenfold, like the light of 7 days. When our Father in heaven binds up his people's wounds and heals the injuries it has suffered, behold, our Father in heaven himself comes from afar in blazing wrath, with a heavy burden, his lips full of fury, his tongue like devouring fire, and his breath like a raging torrent, reaching halfway up the neck to set a misguiding yoke upon nations and a misleading bridle upon the jaws of peoples. For you there shall be singing as on a night when a festival is hallowed. There shall be rejoicing as when they march with flute, with timbrels, and with lyres to the rock of Israel on the mount of our Father in heaven. For our Father in heaven will make his majestic voice heard and display the sweep of his arm in raging wrath, in a devouring blaze of fire and tempest and rainstorm and hailstones. Surely Assyria, who beats with the rod, shall be cold with the voice of our Father in heaven. And each time the appointed staff passes by, our Father in heaven will bring down his arm upon him and will do battle with him as he waves it. The Tafeth has long been ready for him. He too is destined for Melech. His fire pit has been made both wide and deep, with plenty of fire and firewood, and with the breath of our Father in heaven, burning it like a stream of sulfur. Those who go down to Mizraim for help and rely upon horses, they have put their trust in abundance of chariots, in vast numbers of riders, and they have not turned to the Holy One of Israel. They have not sought our Father in heaven. But he too is wise. He has brought on misfortune and has not canceled his word. So he shall rise against the house of evildoers and the allies of the workers of iniquity. For the Egyptians are man, not Elohim, and the horses are flesh, not spirit. And when our Father in heaven stretches out his arm, the helper shall trip, and the helped one shall fall, and both shall perish together. For thus our Father in heaven has said to me, as a lion, a great beast, growls over its prey, and when the shepherds gather in force against him, is not dismayed by their cries, nor cold by their noise. So our Father in heaven of hosts will descend to make war against the mount and the hill of Zion, like the birds that fly. Even so will our Father in heaven of hosts shield Jerusalem, shielding and saving, protecting and rescuing. Return, O children of Israel, to him to whom they have been so shamefully false. For in that day everyone will reject his idols of silver and idols of gold, which your hands have made for your guilt. Then Assyria shall fall, not by the sword of man. A sword not of human shall devour him. He shall shrivel before the sword, and his young man pine away. His rock shall melt with terror, and his officers shall collapse from weakness, declares our Father in heaven, who has a fire in Zion, who has an oven in Jerusalem. Behold, the king shall reign in his righteousness, and ministers shall govern with justice. Every one of them shall be like a refuge from gales, a shelter from rainstorms, like brooks of water in a desert, like the shade of a massive rock in a languishing lane. Then the eyes of those who have sight shall not be sealed, and the ears of those who have hearing shall listen, and the minds of the thoughtless shall attend and note, and the tongues of numbers shall speak with fluent eloquence. No more shall a villain be called noble, nor shall a gentleman be said of his knave. For the villain speaks villainy and plots treachery, to act impiously, and to preach disloyalty against our Father in heaven, to leave the hungry unsatisfied and deprive the thirsty of drink. As for the Nav, his tools are knavish. He forges plots to destroy the poor with falsehoods, and the needy when they plead their cause. But the noble has noble intentions, and his constant and noble acts. Your carefree woman, attend, hear my words. You confident ladders, give ear to my speech. In little more than a year, you shall be troubled, O confident ones. When the vintage is over and gathering takes place, tremble, you carefree ones. Quake, O confident ones. Strip yourselves naked, put the cloth about your loins, lament upon the breast. For the pleasant fields, for the spreading grapevines, for my people's soil, it shall be overgrown with briars and thistles. And for all the houses of delight, for the city of Mer, for the castle shall be abandoned, the noisy city forsaken, citadel and tower shall become bare places forever, a stamping ground for wild donkeys, a pasture for flocks, till a sprint from on high is poured out on us, and the wilderness is transformed into farmland, while farmland rates as mere brush. Then justice shall abide in the wilderness, and righteousness shall dwell in the farmland. For the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness calm and confidence forever. Then my people shall dwell in peaceful homes, in secure dwellings, in untroubled places of rest. And a blood shall sink and vanish, even as the city is laid low. Happy shall you be who sow by all waters, who send out cattle and donkeys to pasture. Man, Father, Son, Spirit, with us. Pray a wonderful, beautiful, and blessed day. Amen.